co-facilitators, members, colleagues, and I'm sure some hungry people. I'm speaking on behalf of a diverse scientific community that includes climate scientists, medics, agricultural scientists, engineers, anthropologists, planners, and a lot of others who are worldwide mobilizing to support the definition, implementation, and monitoring of the post-2015 agenda. You can read some of their specialist inputs and reflections that have got bearing on the selection of indicators and the issue of resourcing of the SDGs in the ICSU report that is available on the ICSU website. But today, we come to highlight issues in the declaration which are of relevance to science and come with a specific proposal to include in the declaration an explicit recognition of the essential role of science and technology for realizing the Sustainable Development Agenda in all places and at all scales. Perhaps it's useful to make two general comments about the declaration and then highlight two specific recommendations. Firstly, we want to underscore the importance of the discussion that we've had today and over the last 2 days about partnerships. Partnerships are absolutely essential for legitimate policy making at the global scale and for the implementation effectively of the SDGs. Within that, a partnership between science, policymakers, and civil society, we can be very clear about why partnerships are necessary. They're necessary to jointly identify the critical issues that have to be addressed. Partnerships are important for co-producing knowledge that will effectively support decision-making in different places, in different contexts that we've heard of, with the SDGs at different scales. And partnerships are really critical to co-delivering solutions that are supported by scientific evidence. If partnerships are important, we have to recognize the very clear role that science can play in innovation and in the identification of new technologies. Because new technologies which are derived from research will be absolutely vital part of the solutions for the major sustainability challenges that we face. That's one really important reason. With that in mind, what we want to point out is that although across the SDGs and the discussion of targets, there is particular reference to the role of science and technology, but we are concerned that without a massive, broad-based expansion of science and technology capacity, particularly in poorer parts of the world, and I come from the African continent, without that, there can be no successful implementation of the SDGs, and the entire SDG framework will be in jeopardy. Secondly, in addition to the importance of partnerships and having science as a major component of the partnerships that is framing the SDG process, we want to highlight the importance of the inclusion of an evidence base and a robust system of self-evaluation. This is important for the enduring legitimacy of the SDG framework. It is very clear that effective follow-up and review is going to be necessary. The ability to report authoritatively on progress is what will mobilize action on the ground. It is what will promote learning between different places and different constituencies, and it will allow us to change course as necessary. But in order to do that, we are going to have to fill significant gaps in information. We are also going to have new metrics that are capable of the kind of ambitious agenda which we have all spoken of today, which is integrated and which understands these multiple components of the Sustainable Development Agenda. So a system of self-evaluation and reflection that is evidence-based and legitimate is absolutely imperative. So with that in mind, what are the two things that we would recommend that we think of before we break for tea and as we move forward and as we begin tea, lunch? I see some of you looking anxious. There are two things. We've talked about the importance of partnerships, and we are absolutely clear that the science community needs to galvanize itself and to work with others to ensure that we have a platform for the effective reflection on and investment in the SDG process. Work on that has already begun, and we are very excited we can talk more about that. Very specifically, the science and technology community urges governments, and I'm pleased that there are so many members still present, we urge governments to include a specific mention of science in the declaration on the post-2015 development agenda. And here are some words that we think may be useful. We recognize the critical need to harness both science and technology for sustainable development. We therefore urge member states to scale up national science and technology activities and capacity targeted on sustainable development, and encourage stronger collaboration across scientific and policy communities. We also resolve to enhance support for international cooperation in relevant scientific research, scientific and technological capacity building, knowledge sharing, and innovation. And colleagues, I would just leave with you as a South African scholar who has been deeply engaged in the practice and the reconstruction of our very broken nation, I can attest that it is this two-way engagement, this partnership, where science is called on to contribute to sustainable development, and where what as scientists we learn about the challenges of protecting the planet, of not leaving anybody behind, or of giving undue advantage and allowing it to go unchecked. That is what invigorates both science and society. And we sincerely hope that that will be the hallmark of the post-2015 implementation process. Thank you.